It is Bible study time, y'all. Yay! All right, so today we're going to be speaking to the story of Babylon. We're going to be speaking out of a couple of different chapters within the Judeo-Christian Bible. We're going to stick to the Bible in general this week. But before we begin, I'd like to say, if you all find any of my content relevant, if you find it thought-provoking, necessary in any way, please subscribe, please click like, and please share. Bless someone else with this content, whether on YouTube or Facebook. And because I look to deliver thought-provoking content to you all every week. So this is something that'll be ongoing, and I'm looking to build off of it each week incrementally. So now that we got that out of the way, let me go ahead and pour a little bit of my oil. This is my Chloe Michelle Skin organic essential oil based body oil. I have a skincare line that I am in the process of launching. I've been in the process of launching this thing forever because it's my love, and I've been working on it for quite some time. But now it's ready to be born and birthed into the world, and we're on the last leg of getting that done. But it's 100% natural and organic. I work with a lot of essential oils. Many of the oils that I work with you'll find in the Bible. Myrrh, frankincense. I work with a lot of frankincense. Frankincense, you guys, is excellent. Excellent for uplifting the senses. Has excellent health benefits to the skin, whether anti-aging or skin tightening. Many benefits to the internal organs of the body when absorbed into the skin and it goes into the blood. So, and they're all positive. Frankincense is like the king or the queen of all essential oils. So, looking forward to delivering on that to you all as we progress in the weeks of this new year. But let's stick to the script. We're going to be speaking to the story of Babylon today. We're not going to speak to the entire story because the story of Babylon is a very complex story. It's not like something you can just put your thumb on and say, okay, this is the meaning behind that. It is a multifaceted story that you can break down in several ways. And I'll be breaking it down over the course of this year. But this is just one perspective that I'll be delivering to you today on the story of Babylon as it relates to the children. The reason why I'm speaking to this story today is because the children have been enslaved in Babylon at this point. They have gone into slavery. So that is the main reason why we're bringing it up. And because I skipped over the whole Babylon story that initially started in Genesis, in the chapter 11 of Genesis. So we're going to revisit all of that today and get a fundamental understanding of it. So before I get started, let's invoke the Spirit of God to help direct me in the discernment of His Word. Heavenly Father, I come before you in love, seeking your truth in the pages of this book. I ask that you speak through me, Father and Mother, to the children. Use me as your vessel. Use me as your vessel today and every day in love. I come before you searching for you. Please find me and stay with me. Continue to provide for me, protect me, cover me with your love and your attention. Cover all of your children with your love and your attention in all your many ways, in all of our many walks in this life. We may not know all the answers, Father, Mother. That's why we come before you and we seek you. We seek you through the sea of confusion. We seek you. In love, I come before you. Meet us here now in this place. All right, y'all. Sometimes you just gotta, prayer is a thing that you just have to let your heart speak for you. You just can't, you can't just predetermine what you want to say. Sometimes you can because you want to put something on the altar and you need God to hear it. But sometimes you just need to pour out what's heavy on your heart. We're all out here searching for God. All of us are looking for God in every aspect of our life. I truly believe that. But there's such a sea of confusion. And then we have all these things coming at us at one time that we're dealing with daily, that we wake up with, that we have on us all the time. It's frustrating. But you constantly have to realign yourself back to, Father and Mother, find me where I am. Please come find me. and strengthen me right where I am. Meet me right where I am. That's where it's at. It ain't no showboating. It's not no putting up a front. It's not no trying to make it look good for someone else. That's the beauty of God. You come as you are. You can be your most honest, your most integral self and lay it all out. And God will meet you right where you are. God will honor that. Because that's what God works through. God works through that childlike humility that it takes to get to that point and offer up that call in that way. I don't want to get started on that. But anyway, okay. More to come with my line. More to come with my skincare line. It's really an awesome line. It's completely awesome. And I'm looking forward to delivering more information on it. All right, so we're going to start off with chapter. Okay, so we're going to be reading out of Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 through 9. And then we're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 12 through 18. Maybe we'll go to 19. And then chapter 25 of 2 Kings, verse 9 through 10. I'm sorry. Yeah. Chapter 25, verse 9 to 10. And then 22 to 26. So we're going to be skipping. But I'm trying to lessen all of the reading. You know, the better I get at this, the more I do it, the better I get. Okay? We're going to lessen all of the reading. So let me take a sip of water. And then we will begin. All right, let's go. Chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Okay, let's go over to chapter 25 of 2 Kings. I'm sorry, chapter 20 of 2 Kings. Okay. Verses 12 through 18. And at the time, Bedrodak Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah hearkened unto him, and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men? And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. And Isaiah said unto him, Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And of thy sons shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then we'll go to 19. Then said Hezekiah unto Isaiah, Good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. And he said, Is it not good if peace and truth be in my days? Okay, we're going to skip over to chapter 25, verse 9 through 10. And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldees that were with the captain of the guard brake down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then we're going to skip over to 22, verse 22. And as for the people that remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left, even over them he made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, ruler. And when all the captains of the armies, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, they came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and Sariah the son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah, the son of Maakanite, they and their men. And Gedaliah sware to them and to their men, and said unto them, Fear not to be the servants of the Chaldees. Dwell in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. But it came to pass in the 7th month that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the seed royal, came, and 10 men with him, and smote Gedaliah, that he died, and the Jews and the Chaldees that were with him at Mizpah. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. All right, so let's get to it. So what is going on here is, so the children of Israel have now transgressed to the point God has allowed them to go into slavery. They've gone into slavery to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. By way of, well, I can't say by way of Hezekiah, but Hezekiah allowed them into his kingdom to see firsthand all that they had in Israel. All the wealth of Israel, he allowed them to see. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe he felt like he was showboating. I don't know. What we could go on and on and on about that. But the fact remains is that he did that. He allowed them in to see. And this is another metaphoric way of God showing you got to be careful with the company you keep. Everybody is not your friend. Israel really has no friends, and I don't know why Israel can't figure this out. But Israel has no friends. Israel is an entity all to itself. It has no friends. Everybody is vying for Israel's attention. They're always vying for these children's attention, or they're always vying for the prophets of this God. This is a mighty God that has led these children to do a miraculous thing in the world. Miraculous, astonishing. None could come and defeat them if they stayed in alignment with this God. The rules of this God is don't put no gods before me. You will not worship an idol. You will not worship anyone outside of the God that is me. And where is this God resting? The God is resting within each and every one of those people. So basically what God is saying is you don't worship anybody. I am the living God. You worship the God that is within you and your brethren. That is it. All of this third party thing that y'all got going on got to stop. All of this creating an idol and then putting your attention and your emphasis into that thing that is outside of you is beneath you. But because everybody around them does that, they can't seem to stay in alignment. Even though, honestly, I think it's because it's so simple. The con, the con, the context of it is so simple that they overlook it. I do the same thing all the time. I've been wrestling this morning with thoughts, just thoughts here and there of things, even though I know better. You get caught up in the moment of your feelings. It's your feelings that drive it. And you allow your feelings to drive your car, your feelings will drive you to crash. You have to take control, and you got to know. And even if you feel like you don't know and you're unsure, because none of us, I'm willing to say this, none of us are 100%, 1,000% sure in our walk with God at all times. Even though we want to parade like we are, well, ain't nobody really 1,000% sure, because there's so many dynamics at play at one time that'll change your positioning in things. And so now you'll be faced with a situation you've never been faced with before. And you're like, God, where are you? God, I don't feel you here. Where are you? Why would you allow me to go through this? Why am I dealing with this, God? Is this of you or is this of the enemy? And if this is of the enemy, why would you allow me to go through this? All of us go through these things. None of us are exempt. This is the state that the children have been in many. This is a whole history. This is the walk. And this is the problem, is because it's easier to put it outside of you and to say, okay, look, I'm going to go in and get this. I'm going to go and get this. I'm going to get this bottle, and I'm going to put my attention in this bottle, and I'm going to multiply myself and multiply myself and multiply myself, which is all good. But you're not calling upon no other name of no other deity in the process. That's where the turn takes. When you call upon some back end God that has to take a back door to get to the power. You don't have to take a back door to get to the power. You can go directly to the source. But see, in order to get the blessing of the source, you got to be in alignment. And that be the part. A lot of people want to get to the source and still have their little wicked ways and do their old trickery. And this is where those back end sources come in handy, because they'll allow you to do all of that. Piggyback upon them to do all of that and get it done. Whereas this God of Israel will not allow you to do it. So let's not get lost into that. But so the children have been sold into slavery, into Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, has came and taken them out of their land and sold them and put them into slavery. And so I want to start off with what the chapter I started off with in Genesis, which is chapter 11, when God speaks to the whole earth was speaking one language. So in the beginning, this is after the flood, y'all. This is after God flooded the world. Okay? God flooded the world. Remember, these children were traumatized and came off this boat into heaven on earth. They've landed on heaven. They've landed in heaven on earth. And they came out of hell. They literally came out of hell and landed on heaven and earth. They were in hell for a whole year. The world as they knew it has totally changed. They've been tossed and turned on this boat. They done seen devastation. Could you imagine if the world was flooded and all of the waterways and floodgates and lightning and thundering like you've never heard before in the world, shaking so much that things are getting sunk. I'm not talking about an earthquake that sways you. I'm talking about an earthquake that's chaotic. I'm vicious. Shaking so much it breaks up molecules. Everything gets sunk. You talking about buildings getting sunk down. Okay? And they on a boat. That's shaking just like that on water. So you got water in this boat. They're sitting in this boat for 12 months. It's probably hot, moldy, urine, feces, animals, people throwing up. Just a mess, sweat. 12 months. Then they land in heaven. God has flooded the whole world. There is not an enemy amongst them. Only people on the earth is them. And who they brought with them, the animals. They're laying out on the grass because, the world had flooded and the waters receded. So the world is starting to get back to its normal vegetation. The seeds don't die in a flood. They just go dormant or they begin to grow in the water. I'm a plant person. There's some plants that can sit in a lot of water and the soil can soak in them and they can still grow. There's some that won't. They'll grow abundantly in a lot of water. There's some plants that will. So think of the earth as this way. The only thing that destroys a seed is really fire. Fire is the destroyer. But water, the flood receded. There's vegetation growing. They out there laying out, planting the garden, eating of the fruit. They can pick and choose how they doing it. Do we want to create a system where people work? Do we want to? They didn't have nothing to do all day outside of what they wanted to do because that's how God created life. God did not create life for you to get up and go and do this and do that and do this and do that off somebody else's clock. That is what you call worshiping an idol legitimately. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not telling you not to do it, but that is exactly what it's called. Just bombarding your day with a bunch of stuff to look like you're busy for other people to look at you and say, oh, hey, congratulations. You're super busy. But you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing. You're not gaining spiritually. You're not learning anything spiritually. You're just doing a bunch of worldly stuff that's not even really benefiting you. But nonetheless, so from what I'm gathering in this book, it was about 200 years or so after the flood that these people began to build this tower. Now, the Tower of Babel, as I was saying to you, was built, and this is what got me with it, because I've read this before and I've been pondering this for a while, and I listened to a video that a brother made last night that was thought-provoking, and I had heard that perspective, some of it, before, and I'll get into that in a moment. But before that, I'd like to speak to just my perspective on something. And it says here, and the whole earth was of one speech and one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go out, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach to the heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad the face of the whole earth. So, when it says here, let us make brick for mortar. Let us make brick for stone and slime for mortar. So this all goes back to what I was saying to you guys about the fallen angels and the Nephilim. You can't unknow something. What these fallen angels taught the children passed on to generations, and they knew it. They remembered it. It was in the earth. So flood or no flood, it's remembered. Remnants of it were remembered. Why didn't they just use stone? Why didn't they just use what was natural in the earth to build this tower? Making brick would be a technological advancement. That the children wouldn't have known how to make brick had they not been taught that. They would have known how to build and break stone up and stack it on top of each other. All of these things are things of the Nephilim. Making brick, slime. You know, there's many stories of there are many creation stories. There are many things being created outside of man. Okay? And even man, in man's creation, depending upon what man you're talking about, you in Africa, in the East, they're said to have many pits in the ground that they call slime pits, where they would have slime in them for various reasons. For them to say, and not to get off track, for them to say making this tower out of brick for stone and slime for mortar really speaks to technological advancements. It speaks to the Nephilim. It speaks to all the stuff that was going on before the flood and that still prevailed after the flood. The stuff that was going on before the flood, the majority of it ceased. All of the animals that were created of it, that came out of these pits, all these monsters that were not birthed from the womb, that came out of these pits, because they was doing a lot of genetic mixing. And a lot of these things that were being born were not born from a womb. A human, a woman. They were not born from that. They were born in pits of slime. So all of this stuff was before the flood. God flooded the world and killed off all of their offspring. And then what was left was Noah and his descendants. Well, obviously, some of this information was left over because the fallen angels still were alive after the flood, even though there was nothing but water, and Noah's descendants. I'm gonna give you another perspective to ponder. Well, no, we won't even go into that. So let's just stick to the script. So we understand that the brick for stone, instead of using stone, they decided to use technological advancements, which would be somewhat on the side of chemistry, mixing different natural earth elements together and creating something new from it. Slime, which is the same thing. And then they went on to say, and they said, go, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into the heaven. So they created this brick and stone. They created this brick and slime first. And once that was created, they were probably building houses with that. Who knows? I'm sure they were. They just didn't create it and let it sit there. They created something with it. Sidewalks, houses. They found usefulness with it. And they said, now that we've been able to create this and master this, let us build us a tower whose top may reach to the heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Now, this was very interesting to me. Because why would they want to build a tower? This is 200 or so years after the flood. This ain't too far away after what happened, the catastrophic flood event. Now, if you were in that flood and you lived afterward, you probably would be traumatized. It's like living today. And then tomorrow, the whole world is flooded. And you miraculously escape and you see all of this catastrophe. You know exactly how the world was now. You know exactly. You get in your car in the morning, you go to work, you go get you something from the grocery store, or you go to get you something from a restaurant or a fast food place. You pick your kids up from school, you go to the cleaners, all these types of things. And then tomorrow, I'm talking about water like you've never seen in your life. water just plummeting down, noises of nature, fire, thunder, lightning, earthquakes like you've never experienced in life. And you miraculously escape on a boat. And you're just thankful to be on that boat, but the boat is getting plummeted and pounded upon and shaking for a whole year. And then you're sitting in feces of you and everybody else on the boat. It's hot and sweaty and muggy. You can't eat cooked food. How you gonna use some fire? What are you eating for a whole year? Where's the water? What are you drinking? You come off of that thing traumatized. You never forget that. It'll take you more time to get over that than to enjoy the heaven that you were brought into. And this is what happens. These people came off of this boat traumatized. And they say, man, what if this happened again? I'm sure every time they felt that earth shake, every time they thought, oh my God, this could be another flood. Every time it rained, they probably became petrified. I'm sure of it. And they said, what could we do to protect ourselves again? If this happens again, what could we do? They said, come. Let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into heaven. Why to heaven? Because that way, if it does flood, we could at least escape it. We could at least be high enough up to make it through it. They saw the remains of the flood. They saw that there was nothing but tops of buildings left. This is wisdom. They have been able to endure a thing and come out on the other side and have the wisdom to see, okay, this is how this happened. They were able to see, okay, this is what remained. Okay, now what if we build something just as high as this? Because we remember what the height of this was before the flood. We remember. What if we built something 2 times as high as this? Remember, the flood happened, and mankind was down to just Noah and his sons and his sons' wives. They've all repopulated. They're one community of people. They all speak the same language. How could they not? And they all get along and love with one another. It says that here. It says in chapter 11, verse 6, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be strained from them, which they have imagined to do. So God was in a dichotomy kind of thing, where surely his thought to flood the world was a perfect thought. There was nothing else that they could do. Either flood it or keep the thing going on. So he flooded it. And he left one man's seed in the earth. And these seeds multiplied. And now, but these seeds still had the knowledge from what they knew before the flood. They were handyman. They were men that would get things done. I'm sure Noah, who built the ark, knew about slime. He knew about pitch, and he knew about brick and mortar and rock and all kind of things. So, and his sons. All it takes is one person to know. And even if they didn't know for sure, they had a memory of seeing it, and they're saying, okay, you mix this with that, I think, and then we'll get this. So they were fooling around with making the brick, and finally they perfected it, obviously, because it says here, go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had made brick for stone and slime for mortar. And then they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower who may reach to the top of the heaven. That was after they had perfected the brick making. So now they are beginning to create. They're using the imagination of the mind based upon all the knowledge that the mind has acquired along the way. And God said, wow, they're all one. They're all in unity. They're united. Because it was no one in the earth but Noah and his offspring. Come, we gotta put a stumbling block in their way. Because if not, there'll be nothing that they cannot do. Which is interesting. So interesting, it's been on my spirit all morning. And my mind has been going on and on and on, all kind of ways with it. Because in one instance, you would think that this would be something that should be respected. These people are one. They are living amongst one another well. There's unity. There's cohesion. And they're multiplying. And they're creating in the world. But these ideas and perspectives that they have are of what these fallen angels taught them. And they're beginning to create by way of them. And also, you must remember that these fallen angels are still around. God did not kill them off. The flood did not kill them off, let's just say that. Because if so, why are they mentioned still in the Bible afterward? The children will fight. David will knock back many of them. That's who David was fighting all the while, the Philistines. David was fighting all the fallen angels, the giants. So whether they knew it before the flood or they were taught it by the fallen angels that remained after the flood, they began building this tower to reach into heaven. And it wasn't that, in my thinking about it today, it wasn't that they began building a tower. And it wasn't even really that they built it out of brick. It was that they were afraid. They were looking to overcome the judgment of God. They were looking to find a loophole. Instead of trusting God and leaning in on God's word, they were looking to finding a clause that they could resort to if God ever decided to do such a thing again. And you can't really even be angry at that. You can't. I as much as I love God, my human side could look at that and say, I can understand that. Just losing everyone you knew before outside of who's on that boat, everybody died. All your childhood places that you knew, all of your memories are gone. Nothing. All of your ancestral lines severed. So, that's one perspective on the Tower of Babel, in which they did. They went down and under one accord, they created this tower. And they all spoke one language. And that's the positive side of the story of Babel. That's the wholesome side of the story. But there's many perspectives to the story of Babel. What's so interesting is that how close it was to how close this creation of the Tower of Babel was to the flood. I want to say it was only 200 years. I mean, it couldn't have been more than 500. But let's just say it was 500 years. Let's give it 500 years. But even then, 500 years for these people So God breaks up the language. He sends everybody scattered round about. The second version of this story of Babel would be that Babylon is really a metaphor for something greater. Many people say America is Babylon. It's another form of Babylon. It's a place where everybody goes. We all speak one language here, which is English. And you have many people from all over the world. You got people from all over adhering to a specific lifestyle that is the way of the lifestyle here. And whether some people thinks it's good or bad, it is a mixing, it's a melting pot of many different things. And when they say when they use the metaphor of it being built from brick instead of stone, that shows you that this place is built of a blend of many different things, many different types of people, many different racial ethnicities. It's a mixture, it's a melting pot. When you look at the Tower of Babylon, it looks like that double helix kind of chromosome. I wish I was really good at doing these videos, because I would put that image up right when I'm speaking. Hopefully I'll be able to find it and do it, and it'll be on here. But if not, you can look up anything that talks about any kind of genes or any types of chromosomes, and you'll see this kind of double helix spiraling staircase thing. Or even Google the Tower of Babylon and you'll see it. Many people say that is what they are leading to in regards to the Tower of Babylon, insinuating that it was a melting pot. It was a place where many people came, and they did like King Solomon, whereas they were mixing amongst one another. This was the biggest sin that Solomon had. He didn't have any other sins in the eyes of God, really, outside of mixing the bloodlines. Because this is what the end is going to be about. When you speak to Revelations, you're speaking to the different bloodlines. You're speaking to the wicked ones, or the children of Satan, or the children that are out of alignment with the God of Israel, mixing themselves now into the bloodline. This is the goal of the enemy, is to contaminate and to confuse. The goal of the enemy is to confuse all of the words of God, to lead the children astray, to make God, for the children to always be in condemnation of God. I keep telling y'all, Balaam and Balak, I keep telling you guys, that's a big deal. Because they were the first ones that could come and really get a bird's eye view as to how the heck to get after these children. They were the first ones to make these children transgress. First ones. And everything he saw on them mountaintops, he tucked in his back pocket, and all of which he saw have been used against these children. All of which. So the mixing of the bloodlines is from what I'm gathering, is another perspective that we could use in regards to unveiling the mysteries of this whore they call Babylon. Why is she a whore? Because everybody comes into her. All the people of any nation, any type, any way, you come into her. That is why she's considered a whore. But nonetheless, let's stick to the script. The children have been sold into slavery at this point. They've been sold into slavery, and they are now, Nebuchadnezzar has come upon them and sold them into slavery. Hezekiah allowed them into the kingdom. They've come into the kingdom. They've seen all the splendor and the spectacular work that Solomon had done, all of the majestic work that Solomon had done in regarding having all of the sculptures made of brass and of gold and of silver, all these great plates. Because, see, what you don't understand is right now, nowadays, Christians are religious. But back in these days, this was not a religion. This was a spiritual system. And this was not, that's why I say, if Jesus came back, or if Solomon or if David and any of these people came back right now, today, they would not recognize what's going on here. The way many people do it in as a religion, having Christianity as a religion, they would not recognize it. The priesthood, the Levites, they did not conduct themselves as the priesthood nowadays does. It didn't look anything like this. It was highly spiritual. Highly. Many people would equate it with some form of I don't know, witchcraft maybe. They would. Just looking at it. Not in the sense of their actions and invocations, but in the sense of the way that they got down and got after it. Putting a bullock on an altar. Burning incense on an altar. Man, this is the thing. It's been so watered down. Till it has power, but it's not nowhere near the power that it could have. When King Solomon, David's son, what he did and what his father David did were miraculous things in the kingdom of God. Musa. Miraculous things. These people walked in spirit, in true spirit. I'm talking about, nonetheless, when Hezekiah opened up the doors to these people and allowed them to come in and see the splendor, they got to see the sciences. They got to see the tools that you use to connect with God. Solomon worked with big plates with geometric designs on them. Wasn't it Solomon that knew how to bind demons? Wasn't it Solomon that used these same demons to work, to build temples and build things of God? We got to look at the history of this and stop getting spooked out and turned by the truth. These are highly spiritual systems. These are sciences. This is not. It is, but it ain't. It's so many levels to this thing. It is a science. And this science runs the matrix. It runs it. The real science runs it. So when Hezekiah allowed them to come in and see, Isaiah said, look, God told me, he didn't even tell me that you shouldn't have done it. It's beyond that. He told me to tell you that these children about to be put in slavery, and everything that God has in his temples will be given over to Nebuchadnezzar and to the children of Babylon, and your children will be eunuchs. Eunuchs. eunuchs in Babylon. I'm about to look up eunuchs because I don't want nobody to get mad at me about my interpretation of a eunuch. So I'm going to say eunuch. Let's see, eunuch. So, what is a eunuch? I'm reading this off of here. A eunuch is a castrated man placed in charge of a harem or employed as a chamberlain in a palace. Second definition: a man or a boy deprived of the testes or external genitalia. Isaiah said to Hezekiah, Babylon, they're going to come. Now that you've shown them everything of God, you withheld nothing from them. You said it yourself. You said that you said that hold on. Okay. And he said, chapter 20, verse 15. And he said, what have they seen in thy house? And Hezekiah answered, all the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. Isaiah's next response. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come, that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. Verse 18. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. He said to them, he said to Hezekiah, a powerful word. You will have nothing left in your house. You've let these people in. These are your enemies. Israel's just now starting to get back in alignment. You're never in alignment. So you're not strong enough to even be allowing nobody in. You haven't even built your house up strong enough with me for me to even protect you against these people like that. And you mean to tell me you've let them in to see all that I have and all that your fathers and them have stored up for you? Showboating? Because of that, they're going to come and they're going to take everything. And I'm going to allow it. And I'm going to also allow him to come and take all your sons and make them eunuchs. He's going to allow them to come and castrate them, cut their testicles off, and their, you know what, off. That's a cold thing, boy. This God of Israel is cold. He ain't playing with you. That is a cold thing. He said, and thy sons that shall issue from thee, all males that piss against the wall from you, which thou shalt beget, which you shall create, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. And this is the part that gets me. This is what Hezekiah says. Then said Hezekiah unto Isaiah, good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. And he said, is it not good if peace and truth be in my days? That could be looked upon two different ways. That could be looked upon that, is it not good that God has told me truth? He's told me the truth of this situation. But then he also says, is it not good that God allowed me to have peace in my days? Which says that, is it not good that God will allow me to live peacefully, regardless to what happens to my kids because of what I've done? Don't it seem a little selfish? Doesn't it? I'm just saying. It just seemed a little selfish. But nonetheless, so Israel gets sold into slavery into Babylon. Babylonians come and they destroy they destroy Jerusalem. They come and they destroy it. They take all of the work of the temple, all of what Solomon and David and all of them have created and offered up. All of them. All of the splendor. They broke it down and left the peasants, the poorest of the people. They took all of the mighty men and women to Babylon. But it's always Judah. Judah, I'm telling you, y'all better be thankful for your prophets. I need to say this. You, Israel, you need to be thankful for your prophets. You need to be thankful for the people that have the courage to come forth and to honor the dignity of the God our Father. You need to be thankful because y'all are some unthankful people. You really need to take some time, even if you don't agree with your prophets. You need to take some time to say, I thank God for you. Because your prophets come and they disturb the atoms. They keep the torch lit. Because if it was y'all, it would have been out. It would have been out. The prophets that come through be less than 1%. The 99.95% be lost and be totally in support of the BS. But that 0.5% that come through, God allows to keep the flame lit. You all need to be thankful for your prophets. You need to be thankful for your warriors. You need to be thankful for the warrior spirit that is in the children. Because all of Israel's children come forth to bless the whole. All of them little 0.5%, they come forth always to bless the whole. Whether y'all agree with them or not, you can definitely look at them and say, I was blessed by that brother in one way or another, or I was blessed by that sister in one way or another. Whether they bless you with a thought, a way of thinking, whether they bless you in an inspirational way that led you deeper into meditating on God and brought you back closer to where you need to be, whether you've acted upon it or not, it rekindled something in you. And you need to be thankful for that. Whatever happened to saying, thank you, brother. Thank you, sister. Where is the love? I say that because where was I at? So I say that because this last portion of it about Gedaliah. So what happens is Nebuchadnezzar, he's then wiped out the whole tribes of Israel. You know, there's the tribes of Israel and then there's Judah. Y'all better be thankful for Judah. Y'all better be thankful for the lion. You better be thankful for the conquering lion. I ain't lying. You better be. Because Judah always come through. It is of the line of Judah that stuff be coming, that come through and it get done. It says here. And Nebuchadnezzar, chapter 25, verse 20. And Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, took these and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them and slew them at Riblah in the land of Hamath. Let me back up. Chapter 25, verse 18. And the captain of the guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the second priest, and the three keepers of the door. And out of the city he took an officer that was set over the man of war. And 5 men of them that were in the king's presence, which were found in the city, and the principal scribe of the host, which mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land that were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, took these and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them, he killed them, and slew them at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So Judah was carried away out of their land. And as for the people that remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left, even over them he made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, ruler. And when all the captains of the armies, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, there came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and Johanan son of Kareah, and Sariah the son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah the son of Maakathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah sware to them and to their men, and said unto them, Fear not to be the servants of the Chaldees. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. But it came to pass in the 7th month that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the seed royal, came, and 10 men with him, and smote Gedaliah, that he died, and the Jews of the Chaldees that were with him at Mizpah. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies, arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. So, what's happened there? They done made examples of people. They've taken the mighty men, the men of the heads of the armies, some of the people, the scribes, the priests, and just slew them. They have just completely done Israel dirty. This is a bad place. I don't think Israel's been in a worse place than this. So much so, they got Jehoiakim, king of Judah. He's in jail in Babylon. He'd been in jail in Babylon. And because Israel is bucking, they done put Gedaliah as governor. And they're saying, no, we're not bowing down to these Babylonians. Gedaliah is saying, look, just don't be afraid. Worship these Babylonians and just let's make everything be cool, until we come up with a better plan. But right now, he didn't even say that. He just said, let everything be cool. Let's not worry about them. Let's just live like this because this is the best we can do. But the courage of the children, they're saying, no, we're not going out like this. We got to fight this. Even if we lose, we have to show some form of fight against this. And they end up coming and slaying Gedaliah, showing the Babylonians that they are not going to cooperate. And instead of going to Babylonia, they end up going back to the mother. They go back to from whence they came. They're caught up in the middle of two different places. Their backs are against the wall. The rest of their brethren have been taken to Babylon and enslaved. Their king, the king of Judah, is in Babylon in jail. He's been there 37 years. They're saying, no, we can't go through this. We're gonna revolt. They killed Gedaliah. And did they kill Gedaliah and his men? They said that they killed Gedaliah and the people that were with them, the Babylonians and the rest of the Jews that were with them. They all had to go because they were all corrupted. Either they were brothers by blood, but they were not brothers by heart and by spirit. They had abandoned hope. They didn't have no heart. They didn't have no love for the people, so they had to go. And they killed off the Babylonians that were with them. And they ran and they fled to the mother. Egypt is Israel's first mother. That's just the facts. Israel was birthed basically out of Egypt. They sucked the breast of Egypt for many years until Moses came, until Musa came and took them. So they went back. They rather go back to the mother than to freely go into slavery into Babylon. Many of us are in the same kind of state. Many of us are in a state of in between. We know what we came out of. We know what's in front of us. A lot of us dealing with things that are in front of us that ain't for us. You ever been in a situation where you just didn't fit nowhere? Huh? Have you? Have you ever been in a place where you just didn't fit nowhere? You got these people over here that you could fit with, but it just don't seem right. That you may not be accepted. They may not even want you there. And you may not even want to be there. You may have another scenario where you can go in this other direction, but you just may not feel that either. It may not be exactly what you would have wanted to do, what you envision. You got this third idea over here. You can go and mingle with that, but that's really not it either. And you've come too far to try to just put yourself in anything because you know the richness of what you got. You got pride and you take ownership of where you are now. So ain't none of it for sale, and you're not about to go and barter it off on the sale rack to nobody. So you decide, maybe I should go back. Maybe I should go back to something that's familiar just for a little while. That's where these people are. Surely Egypt wasn't the place that God would have ordained for them to go to. But it's a place that they knew. It's a place that they could function and flourish in for a while until the storm passes. Sometimes you got to go back to your place of your last defeat, friend. Sometimes your blessing is in your place of your last defeat. And a lot of times going back to the place of your last defeat is the hardest thing you can do. It's not hard for nothing outside of you already know what it is. It's hard because a lot of times it be pride. A lot of times you have to just forgive and forget. And sometimes we don't want to do that because we take a lot of power in condemning. Maybe God is saying, you got to forgive and forget. Because condemning, there's nothing to condemn. Look how far I've grown you. Look at the miraculous stuff that I've done in your life. You're going back whole. Maybe not in the best circumstances. Maybe you having to go back for economical reasons. Maybe you having to go back for emotional reasons. Maybe you're going back because you're waiting on that ship to come in that you know for sure is coming and you just need a place to harbor until it come in. Whatever the reason is. You're going back in a place of power. Knowledge, whether it's material power or not, knowledge is power. You're going back better. Sometimes you got to go back to the place of your last defeat, friend. That's where these children are. What's left of them. They got to go back to Egypt. They got to go back. And they rather go back there than to go sit in front of the Babylonians. And who can blame them? The offspring of all of those that had left in an infancy state, all them hundreds of thousands of years before, must go back. Nonetheless, King of Judah gets released from prison after 37 years. And the king of Babylon has blessed him. He lets him eat at his table. He treats him as one of his, first lines of help. He gives him an allowance, and he's blessed. And that's where we are. That's where we end this Bible study at. Sometimes you got to go back to your place of your last defeat, friend. Many of you know it. You ain't made the move because it's a prideful thing. It's a prideful thing. But I ask you to look it over and ponder it. Ponder it in this season of your life. You're better now. You're stronger now. You're wiser now. A lot of times your biggest blessings come in the place of your last defeat. A lot of times your most powerful blessings come in the place of your last defeat. You love more than you'll ever know. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Peace and love.